Hi everybody, this is Rick. I am in my studio and this is going to be a short demonstration on 12 different ways that I use a flat brush. This is a 1-inch flat brush. Actually, one of them I recommend you don't use. I don't really use it very often, and it's going to be the first one. But I'm going to go through 12 different ways to use a 1-inch flat brush. And the names I've chosen for these are just names I've made up to describe them. They're nothing scientific, but let's go ahead and get started. So the first one I call the house painter. And this is the one that I recommend you don't use. When you're painting in watercolor, you really don't want to try and put your paint on too often like you're painting the side of a barn. So I call it the house painter, and that's something I rarely use. Now, it can be very handy when you're going to apply a wash. So you load up your flat brush with a nice bead of water, and I'm working at an angle, and you can see that I can lead that bead down and get a nice wash. So a wash is a good way to use a flat brush, and I'll pick up that excess moisture with my flat brush. Another way is to use the corner. You can make a lot of interesting marks just using the corner of your brush. Don't just try and use the end of your brush. Like I said, don't just be a house painter. Look at different ways that you can position the brush and get a variety of marks. The next one I'm just calling the twist. I need to get a little bit more paint here. So I call this the twist. Just going to put it down and just make a variety of marks. It's very good if you're trying to make a mark for say a tree or something, a pine tree. Just put it down and just kind of twist it with the wrist. So I call that the twist. The next one's pretty straightforward. It's just a broad line, and this is a 1-inch brush. Just going to make a 1-inch line. Very simple, 1-inch line. Or I can turn it perpendicular and I can make narrow lines. The other thing I can do is I can vary the width of this line by how much I rotate, where I position this brush. Here, kind of hard to see, but here is where I make my broad stroke. Here is where I make a narrow stroke. I can adjust that, and I rotate it a little bit more, and little by little I can change the width of that stroke. So I call that a varied line. Next, I'm going to call this a tapered line. So I'm going to start wide, and I'm going to, as I move my brush, I'm going to change the width of that. Let's try that again. So I bring that down, and I'm changing the width. As I'm moving, I'm rotating my brush. And here I'll pick up the excess moisture. Next, I'm going to use the belly of the brush, this part of the brush, and I'm going to take off some of the moisture. I'm going to make a broken edge type stroke. This is something that can be done on, I'm going to add a little more moisture on a tree or a rock or anything. So that's vertical. Now here I'm going horizontal. So using the belly of the brush, and I'm making marks horizontal. And then I'm calling this organic. So this is something I might use on foliage on a tree. I just kind of drag my brush in any number of ways just to create different patterns, but it gives me an organic edge to what I'm painting. And then I'm just going to call this the side drag. So I'm going to take the side of the brush and just drag it. Let me get a little more paint on there. And so I can create broken edge by dragging the side of the brush. I may put that on the side of a barn or any number of surfaces. So those are 12 quick ways to use a brush, and really one not to use a brush. So I hope you enjoy this, and thanks for watching.